You're fired. The crystal coffee mug shattered across the marble floor. Silence filled the luxury penthouse. Angela Brooks, a composed 48-year-old black nanny, looked down at the broken glass without saying a word. Across the room, millionaire businessman Richard Lawson pointed toward the front door. I don't care how much my daughter likes you. Pack your things. We're done. 8-year-old Sophie burst into tears. Dad, please. Don't make Miss Angela leave. Richard didn't even look at his daughter. I said enough. His wife Victoria folded her arms. We hired a nanny. Not someone who thinks she belongs in family decisions. Angela calmly picked up her handbag. I never tried to replace you. I only tried to protect Sophie. Victoria laughed sarcastically. Protect her? You're paid to babysit. Nothing more. The room went completely quiet. Angela looked at little Sophie one last time. I'll always want the best for you. Richard smirked. You won't be seeing her again. Angela nodded politely. I understand. She turned, walked toward the elevator, and quietly left. Neither Richard nor Victoria noticed. She never argued, she never begged, she never even looked angry. That morning had started like any other. Angela arrived at the Lawson penthouse at exactly 7 a.m. She greeted Sophie with a warm smile. Ready for school, superstar? Sophie grinned. Only if you make your famous pancakes. Angela laughed softly. You drive a hard bargain. Within minutes, breakfast was ready. Richard barely looked up from his tablet. Victoria was busy scrolling through emails. Neither of them thanked Angela. It wasn't unusual. She had learned long ago that quiet professionalism spoke louder than recognition. As Sophie reached for a glass of orange juice, Angela noticed something. The little girl's hands were trembling. Her face looked unusually pale. Angela gently placed a hand on Sophie's forehead. Sweetheart, you don't feel well. Victoria looked up. She's fine. She just wants to skip school. Angela remained calm. I think she should see a doctor. Richard sighed impatiently. We have an investor presentation in 1 hour. We don't have time for this. Angela looked at Sophie again. The child's breathing had become noticeably faster. Her instincts told her something wasn't right. Very gently, she said, I'm calling the pediatrician. Richard stood up so quickly that his chair slid backward. I didn't give you permission. Angela met his eyes calmly. I'm concerned about Sophie's health. Richard's face hardened. You work for us. You don't make decisions in this house. The room fell silent. Angela slowly lowered her phone. She realized nothing she said would change their minds. But she also knew ignoring the warning signs could put Sophie at risk. Angela looked at Sophie again. The little girl's face had become even paler. She was breathing faster now. Miss Angela. My chest hurts. Those 4 words changed everything. Angela immediately knelt beside her. It's okay, sweetheart. I'm right here. Victoria rolled her eyes. She's exaggerating. Richard checked his expensive watch. Our board meeting starts in 45 minutes. We're already late. Angela looked directly at them. I'm not comfortable sending her to school. Richard's voice turned cold. I didn't ask for your opinion. I gave you instructions. Angela stayed calm. I understand. But if this were my child, I would call a doctor immediately. Richard slammed his hand on the marble kitchen island. And that's exactly the problem. She isn't your child. You keep forgetting your place. The words echoed through the penthouse. Sophie lowered her head. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Daddy, please don't yell at Miss Angela. Victoria crossed her arms. You've become too attached. We hired a nanny. Not another parent. Angela quietly replied, "I've never tried to replace you. I've only tried to keep her safe." Richard laughed bitterly. "Safe? You've been here 6 months. I've built companies worth hundreds of millions. Don't lecture me about responsibility." Angela didn't respond. She simply looked back at Sophie. The little girl was now holding her chest. Something was clearly wrong. Angela took a slow breath. Then she made a choice. She reached into her handbag, pulled out her phone, and dialed the pediatrician's emergency line. Richard couldn't believe what he was seeing. "I told you not to do that," Angela calmly answered. "I'm responsible for her while she's in my care. I can't ignore this." Victoria stepped forward. "Hang up." Angela didn't. The pediatrician answered almost immediately. After listening to Angela describe Sophie's symptoms, his voice became urgent. "Don't send her anywhere. Bring her to the emergency clinic immediately." Angela thanked him. Richard snatched the phone from her hand. "I've had enough." Richard pointed toward the front door. "Pack your things. You're fired." The room became silent. Victoria nodded. "We'll find someone who understands boundaries." Angela slowly stood. She looked at Sophie. The little girl rushed forward and hugged her tightly. "Please don't go." Angela hugged her back gently. "You are brave. And you're going to be okay." Richard pulled Sophie away. "That's enough." Angela picked up her handbag. She walked toward the elevator. Before the doors closed, she looked at Richard one final time. "I truly hope your meeting goes well." Richard smirked. "Oh, it will. You won't be part of it." The elevator doors closed. Neither Richard nor Victoria noticed. Angela smiled. Not because she had been fired, but because she had already made one important phone call. Richard and Victoria arrived at the headquarters of Lawson Global Holdings. A stunning 40-story glass skyscraper towered over the city. Luxury cars lined the entrance. Executives hurried through the revolving doors. Richard adjusted his tie confidently. Victoria smiled. "After today's board meeting, the acquisition is practically ours." Richard nodded proudly. "Everything is finally going according to plan." At that exact moment, a black luxury sedan quietly pulled up behind them. A chauffeur stepped out, walked to the rear passenger door, and respectfully opened it. Richard glanced over, then froze. The woman stepping out of the car was Angela, dressed not in a nanny's uniform, but in an elegant navy designer suit. She calmly accepted a leather portfolio from the chauffeur. Several senior executives immediately walked toward her with warm smiles. "Good morning, Miss Brooks. We've been waiting for you." Richard's confident smile disappeared. Victoria whispered, "Why? Are they greeting her like that?" Angela looked at them briefly, smiled politely, then walked straight toward the executive elevators, without saying a single word. Richard stared in disbelief. His briefcase slipped from his hand. "Angela!" Victoria blinked several times. "That can't be possible." The chauffeur closed the luxury sedan's door. A senior executive hurried toward Angela. "Good morning, Director Brooks. The chairman and the rest of the board are waiting for you." Richard felt his stomach drop. "Director," Victoria whispered. "No. There must be some mistake." But there wasn't. Angela walked confidently through the marble lobby. Every executive she passed greeted her with respect. "Good morning, Director Brooks. It's great to see you. The board meeting is ready." Richard and Victoria followed several steps behind. Neither of them spoke. Just 1 hour earlier, they had ordered this same woman out of their home. Now, the entire headquarters treated her like one of the most important people in the company. A young executive assistant approached Angela. "Ma'am, the acquisition documents are ready. Angela nodded. Excellent. Let's begin on time. Richard looked toward another executive. Who? Is she? The executive frowned. You don't know? Richard forced an awkward smile. I've never met her. The executive laughed politely. That's surprising. Director Angela Brooks has served on this board for nearly 7 years. She's one of the largest independent shareholders. Richard's face turned pale. The enormous boardroom doors opened. Inside, a long walnut conference table stretched across the room. Wall-sized digital screens displayed the company's logo. Nearly 20 executives stood as Angela entered. The chairman smiled warmly. Good morning, Director Brooks. We've been waiting. Angela smiled. My apologies. I had an unexpected situation this morning. She calmly took her seat. Moments later, Richard and Victoria entered. The room became strangely quiet. Several board members noticed the uncomfortable expressions on their faces. The chairman looked around. Excellent. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. For the next 30 minutes, Angela spoke with remarkable confidence. She questioned financial projections, identified overlooked legal risks, suggested improvements that impressed every executive in the room. Even Richard found himself taking notes. Victoria quietly whispered, I had no idea. Richard couldn't answer. Everything Angela said demonstrated deep business knowledge. Nothing about the woman in front of them matched the assumptions they had made that morning. When the presentation ended, the chairman smiled. Before we vote, Director Brooks, I understand you experienced an unusual incident before today's meeting. Angela remained composed. Yes, I did. The room grew silent. Richard's heartbeat quickened. Angela looked across the table. Not with anger, not with satisfaction, just calm professionalism. This morning, I was dismissed from temporary childcare duties after recommending that a child receive immediate medical attention. Several directors exchanged concerned looks. Angela continued. My only priority was the child's well-being. She said nothing more. She didn't mention names. She didn't seek revenge. But everyone in the room understood the seriousness of what she was describing. Richard slowly lowered his head. For the first time all day, he felt truly ashamed. The boardroom remained silent. No one spoke. The chairman slowly folded his hands. Director Brooks. How is the child now? Angela answered immediately. She's safe. I contacted her pediatrician before leaving. The doctor asked that she be examined immediately. Richard's eyes widened. Immediately? He grabbed his phone under the table. 12 missed calls, 7 text messages. His heart began pounding. Every message was from Victoria. Call me now. It's Sophie. Emergency. His hands started shaking. Without another word, Richard rushed out of the boardroom. He answered the phone. Victoria. She was crying. Richard. The doctor says Sophie had an allergic reaction. If Angela hadn't recognized the symptoms so early, it could have become life-threatening. Richard froze. His entire body went numb. He leaned against the hallway wall. All he could hear were Angela's words from that morning. I think she needs a doctor. I'm concerned about Sophie's health. He had ignored every warning. Richard slowly returned to the boardroom. The confident executive who had walked in earlier was gone. His tie was loose. His face was pale. His voice barely worked. He looked directly at Angela. Then, in front of every board member, he stood. I'm sorry. The room became completely silent. I judged you. I ignored your professional judgment. And because of my pride, I almost put my own daughter in danger. No one interrupted him. Angela simply listened. Angela spoke softly. I never wanted to embarrass you. I only wanted Sophie to be safe. Richard nodded, tears filling his eyes. I know. I understand that now. Victoria entered the boardroom moments later. Her eyes were red from crying. She walked straight toward Angela. I'm sorry. I thought you were overstepping. But you were the only adult who truly saw what Sophie needed. Angela gently smiled. Sophie is what matters. Nothing else. The chairman slowly stood. Then another director stood. Then another. Within seconds, every single board member was on their feet. Not because Angela was a director, but because she had chosen a child's safety over protecting her own job. The chairman smiled proudly. Character cannot be bought. It reveals itself when doing the right thing comes at a personal cost. The room erupted in applause. Richard wiped away a tear. For the first time, he wasn't applauding a successful business decision. He was applauding true integrity. Sophie ran through the garden outside the Lawson home, completely healthy, completely happy. A familiar black sedan pulled into the driveway. Angela stepped out, not as an employee, as an honored guest. Sophie smiled from ear to ear. Miss Angela. She ran into Angela's arms. Richard and Victoria watched quietly. Richard spoke first. Our home is always open to you. Angela smiled warmly. I came to visit Sophie, and I'm very glad she's smiling again. The way someone dresses, the job they do, or the title they hold, can never measure their wisdom, compassion, or character. Real leadership begins with humility. And sometimes, the greatest lesson comes from the person others underestimated. If you believe character is more valuable than status, comment one word below. Respect.